Growing up in the Sterling family meant living in the shadow of Texas oil money and even bigger expectations. My name's Marcus, and in my family, there were two sons with two very different destinies. My older brother, Derek, was born to rule. 6'2", quarterback jaw, and a natural-born salesman who could charm oil out of a dry well. I was the creative one, which in Sterling family terms meant the disappointment with expensive hobbies. Our father, Harrison Sterling, built Sterling Energy from nothing but ambition and ruthless determination. He saw Derek as his carbon copy, aggressive, profit-driven, destined to expand the empire. Me? I was a filmmaker, a truth seeker with a camera. To my father, that made me about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Every family gathering was a masterclass in humiliation. Derek just secured the Venezuela pipeline deal, $40 million in pure profit, Dad would announce like Derek had discovered a new continent, while my Sundance Film Festival acceptance was met with, "That's nice, son. Maybe you can film Derek's next board meeting." The only person who saw value in my work was Isabella, my fiancée of 2 years. She was a marketing executive at a nonprofit, beautiful, brilliant, and somehow convinced that my documentaries could change the world. She attended every screening, celebrated every small victory, and held me together after every soul-crushing family dinner. "Your truth matters more than their money," she'd whisper after particularly brutal evenings. We were planning our wedding for next spring, a small, intimate ceremony that would be everything my family's ostentatious lifestyle wasn't. The annual Sterling Energy Gala was approaching, the social event where Texas elite gathered to worship at the altar of capitalism. This year was monumental. Dad was officially announcing his retirement and crowning Derek as the new CEO. It was Derek's victory lap, and I was expected to stand on the sidelines and applaud like a little brother. I was deep into a passion project, a documentary exposing corporate money laundering in the energy sector. An anonymous source had pointed me toward a complex web of shell companies that were bleeding millions from a major firm. The deeper I dug, the more horrified I became. The trail of falsified environmental reports, bribed officials, and offshore accounts led me straight back to Sterling Energy. My family's legacy was built on a foundation of lies. But finding Derek at the center of the scheme felt like a physical blow. He wasn't just stealing millions, he was systematically destroying everything our father had built, all while positioning himself as the perfect heir. The betrayal of family trust was staggering. Then I found the secondary accounts. One name stopped my heart: Isabella Martinez. My Isabella. I spent 3 sleepless nights cross-referencing financial records with her personal timeline. The Bahamas girls' trip where she'd been unreachable, she was there with Derek, staying at a luxury resort under the shell company's tab. The family emergency that kept her from my film premiere, security footage showed her having dinner with Derek at the city's most exclusive restaurant. The engagement ring I'd saved 6 months to buy her, she was wearing a Cartier bracelet worth more than my annual salary, one that Derek had purchased through the same shell company. But the real knife twist came when I hacked into their shared encrypted chat. The password? Marcus is blind. They weren't just business partners, they were lovers. The messages were brutal, mocking my artistic pretensions, laughing about my pathetic documentary projects, and planning their future together once Derek secured the CEO position and they could dispose of the dead weight. They'd been together for 18 months, our entire relationship, our engagement, our wedding plans. It was all an elaborate con to keep me distracted while they looted the family fortune. The worst message was from just 2 weeks ago. Isabella to Derek. Marcus is getting suspicious about the Venezuela contracts. Maybe it's time for a more permanent solution. Accidents happen in documentary filmmaking, right? They weren't just planning to steal from me. They were planning to eliminate me. For the first time in my life, the disappointment everyone saw in me crystallized into something lethal. They thought I was just a naive kid with a camera. They were about to discover that cameras in the right hands are weapons of mass destruction. I didn't confront them. Instead, I became the most dangerous thing possible: patient. For 6 weeks, I played the loving fiancé and supportive brother. I helped Derek prepare for the gala, even offering to create a tribute video for Dad's retirement ceremony. Meanwhile, I was gathering evidence like a federal prosecutor. I hired a private investigator to tail them, installed spyware on Isabella's laptop, and used my documentary network to trace every offshore transaction. I documented their romantic getaways, their business meetings, their intimate moments. I recorded phone calls, photographed documents, and built an unshakable case. The most devastating evidence came from Isabella's own narcissism. She'd been documenting their affair on a secret social media account, posting photos of their trips, their expensive dinners, even intimate moments in Derek's penthouse. She thought she was creating a romantic archive. I thought she was providing her own prosecution evidence. 3 days before the gala, I made my masterstroke. I told Derek I wanted to bury the hatchet and asked him if I could interview him for my corporate leadership documentary. He was so arrogant, so convinced of his own brilliance, that he confessed everything on camera. He detailed the money laundering scheme, bragged about manipulating Dad, and even laughed about how Isabella keeps Marcus so distracted with wedding plans that he can't see what's happening right under his nose. The night of the gala arrived like Judgment Day. The ballroom glittered with diamonds and corruption. Dad stood at the podium, his voice thick with pride and anticipation. "Tonight, I pass the torch to someone who embodies everything Sterling Energy represents. My son, my legacy, Derek Sterling." The crowd erupted. Derek strode onto the stage like a conquering hero, embracing Dad as flashbulbs popped. Isabella, radiant in an emerald Valentino gown that probably cost more than most people's cars, blew him a kiss from the VIP section. As Derek approached the microphone for his coronation speech, I gave my signal to the AV technician I'd bribed with enough money to buy his silence and cooperation. "Before I begin," he announced, his voice carrying across the ballroom, "I believe we have a special tribute to the Sterling family legacy." The lights dimmed. The massive screens behind the stage flickered to life. But instead of the tribute video they expected, my documentary began. It opened with Derek's own words. "The old man's too sentimental to see the big picture. He built this company on handshakes and honor. I'm building it on results." Cut to financial records showing the money laundered millions. Then Isabella's voice, crystal clear. "Marcus is so focused on his little movies, he can't see that his whole life is fiction." The room fell dead silent as I methodically destroyed them both. Bank records with Isabella's name, photos of their secret trips, video of them laughing about my pathetic career. Security footage of them entering hotels together while I was home planning our wedding. The crescendo was Derek's filmed confession, where he detailed every crime, followed by Isabella's social media posts from their affair set to the romantic song that was supposed to be our wedding dance. The final shot was a close-up of my engagement ring, the one Isabella had returned to me that morning, claiming she needed space to think, sitting next to a stack of FBI business cards. When the lights came up, chaos reigned. Investors were screaming. Federal agents, who I'd been cooperating with for weeks, were moving through the crowd. Dad stood frozen, staring at Derek like he was looking at a stranger. Isabella was sobbing, her perfect makeup streaming down her face as photographers captured every moment of her destruction. Derek found me in the crowd, his face a mask of rage and disbelief. "You have no idea what you've just done," he snarled. I looked him straight in the eye and said the words I'd been rehearsing for weeks. I documented the truth. Everything else is just consequences. I walked out of that ballroom, past the screaming crowd and flashing cameras, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't the disappointment. I was the one person in that room with nothing to hide. Derek and Isabella were arrested the next morning. The federal charges included money laundering, fraud, conspiracy, and embezzlement totaling over $80 million. Dad's company collapsed within a month, destroyed by lawsuits and the criminal investigation. The Sterling name became synonymous with scandal. But the real victory came later. My documentary, Blood Money: The Sterling Conspiracy, became a sensation. Netflix bought it for 7 figures. It won the Documentary Feature Emmy and launched my career into the stratosphere. The final twist? 6 months later, I received a letter from Isabella in federal prison. She was pregnant. Derek's baby.